Welcome back to the Us versus Them channel. I'm your host Vince, and we're going to break down the next fight for the upcoming UFC 320 card this weekend. We have Josh Emmett versus Youssef Zalal. Josh Emmett is sitting at a plus 350 underdog, and Youssef Zalal is at a minus 520 favorite. Youssef Zalal's striking is actually pretty good. When you look at his Tapology record and you see he's got 9 submissions and 4 KOs, you're thinking he's a grappling specialist, and I'm not saying he's not. But, sometimes his grappling skills overshadow his striking skills. He's really good at coming in and out really well. He's got a nice jab, nice leg kicks. His kickboxing in general is pretty good, to be honest with you. We saw him pick apart Calvin Kattar in his last fight. He picked the other 3 guys apart that he fought earlier in his UFC career, in a second stint of UFC career. And he got submissions in all 3 of those fights before the Kattar fight, but he definitely was setting those submissions up by landing good shots on his feet. So he plays range really well. He moves his feet really well. He's really light on his feet. And, I fully expect him to do that this weekend against Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett is not necessarily a tricky puzzle to solve. I mean, it's overhands. That's what you're looking for, and that's pretty much all he does. Obviously it works sometimes. If he catches you, as hard as this dude hits, you go out cold. We saw that in the Bryce Mitchell fight. That, knockout was devastating. He made Bryce Mitchell have a fucking seizure and shit. It was violent. Really, really violent. What am I telling you guys? You're watching my shit. You already know that. But, but he's very predictable in his striking. I think that he's an easy puzzle to solve. And with a pretty high level striker like Youssef Zalal, I think he's not going to have any problem solving that puzzle. Obviously, Josh Emmett is really durable too. You already know that watching my shit. We saw that in the Ilia Topuria fight. He's the last guy to go the distance with Ilia Topuria, and that was a 5-round fight. So he went 5 rounds with Ilia Topuria. That's pretty good, and he took damage in that fight, like real damage, and he kept moving, kept pressing forward, still kept trying to win the fight, even in the 5th round after the doctors come in and checked him out. Like, dude, you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm good. I want to fight. That's Josh Emmett for you, he's really, really durable. Josh Emmett has a wrestling base, so, he uses that wrestling base to control guys when he does get on top, and he has good ground and pound. He's heavy-handed, so, of course, he's going to have really, really good ground and pound, especially as coming from a wrestler. The only problem with that, though, is Josh Emmett doesn't shoot takedowns anymore. In all the film study that I watched, he didn't shoot a single takedown, not one attempt at a takedown. Not only that, but he didn't kick, he didn't elbow, he didn't knee, nothing. It is all hands. That's it. He treats this like a boxing fight. It's a 4-ounce gloves boxing match in Josh Emmett's eyes. And that's just not a good game plan because, like I said, it makes him really one-dimensional. Zalal, on the other hand, it's a completely different story. He mixes in the striking with the grappling really, really well. I kind of was already saying that earlier in this video. He's got good ground control, but what makes him really special on the ground is his back takes. He's really smooth with the back takes, and he sinks in that body lock triangle really quickly. And from there, he's last 4 fights, he's got 2 rear naked chokes. So of course he's looking to get a finish with that rear naked choke. But he transitions from one position to the other really nicely, and I think if he's able to get the fight on the ground, he's going to have a real advantage there for sure. Josh Emmett, also he's 40 years old, in the grappling world, in the MMA world, in the wrestling world, that's old, He's not going to be able to wrestle and scramble the same way he probably would if he was in his 20s or even in his 30s. That age starts to really wear on you, especially after some of the damage that he's taken. Josh Emmett has said before, like leading up to this fight, that he's kind of reunited with TJ Dillashaw to work on his cardio, get back into, really, not like he wasn't in shape before, but just get into good fighting shape. And he said in this fight that he's coming in the best shape of his life. And I don't deny that. The only problem with that is Josh Emmett doesn't have a being in shape issue. That's not his problem. His problem is he's really one-dimensional. And if he doesn't catch you with this big punch, he has a hard time winning fights. It kind of reminds me of when Tony Ferguson went and started training with David Goggins, and, he went through Hell Week or whatever with David Goggins in preparation for a fight, and obviously that didn't work out for him. He went on the longest losing streak in the UFC history. It just reminds me of that a little bit, because Tony Ferguson's cardio is never the problem. Josh Emmett's cardio is never the problem. So spending a lot of time and effort working with TJ Dillashaw and putting in that really hard work, to me, it doesn't seem like the move for this fight camp. On the other hand, you have Zalal. I'm sure he's done the right things in this fight camp, preparing, getting his skills better, but he's also been calling for this fight. Ever since the Calvin Kattar fight, he's been asking for Josh Emmett. Well, he gets Josh Emmett now. And I think he sees Josh Emmett as a path to get into title contention at that point. And I think he's right, too. You know, you get a finish over Josh Emmett, you know, you're definitely knocking on the door of you know, one fight away probably from fighting for the belt. So I think he's coming in with a different style of focus and a different style of motivation that I don't think Josh Emmett at this point in his career can match. For my official prediction, I'm going with Youssef Zalal, obviously. You know, the only way Josh Emmett wins this fight is by a big KO that, you know, I just don't see happening. He's an easy puzzle to solve, and I think the high-level striking from Youssef Zalal is going to be able to solve that pretty quick. I think he's going to frustrate Emmett by staying on the outside a lot early in the fight, but he's eventually going to pick up the pace a little bit, start touching him more, and I'm not saying Emmett's going to fade, but everybody gets slower as the fight goes on. But as that starts happening, I think the speed advantage for Zalal is going to be more prevalent, and he's going to be able to find the strikes he's looking for. I don't know if he's able to take him down or not. To be honest with you, Youssef Zalal has done really good at taking opponents down in this stretch, in the second stint in the UFC. He's taken down everybody he's fought so far. And like I said, Josh Emmett being 40 years old, that starts to make me a little nervous as far as his ability to actually utilize his takedown defense. And especially once the fight gets to the ground, I think that Youssef Zalal is going to have a major advantage. So everybody's going with decision. I know the bookmakers are having him as a decision. That's at minus 195. I don't see any value in that, and I'm not going to touch that this weekend at all for a parlay. I think the move is definitely, for my official prediction, I'm going to go with Youssef Zalal by submission, and I think he's just going to be a little bit too much on the ground if it does go there. That prop is sitting at a plus 650, so that's a really juicy prop right now. I really, really love that prop. It might be my favorite on the card so far. But my second favorite probably is also coming from this fight, and it's piggybacking off of that. The double chance prop for a submission or a KO is at a plus 400. I think, like I said, Youssef Zalal is coming in extremely focused with title aspirations. To get to that point, you have to finish Josh Emmett. I know he's not hard. I mean, he's not easy to finish for sure. It's only happened twice, but he is a 40-year-old Josh Emmett. This version of Josh Emmett, you need to finish if you have title hopes in your future. So that double chance parlay that's sitting at plus 400, I really, really like that. Not sure what we're going to do with the parlays, so come back on Friday so I can tell you which way we're leaning towards with this fight for the parlays, but I definitely see this one making it into a parlay. That's all I got for you guys in this breakdown. Stop by for the next one. We have Yuri Prochazka versus Khalil Roundtree. Obviously, this fight is going to be a fucking banger. I'm so excited for this one. I'm really excited to do the research on this one and break it down. And I really cannot wait for Saturday because this fight card's really top heavy, and this is where that gets started for sure. This fight is going to be sick. So stop by for the next video and watch that video and get my official breakdown for it. Stop by again on Friday so you can check my parlays out, tail the parlays. I have a really, really good path to victory this week. I really do believe that. And obviously like my shit, subscribe, all that stuff. You know, we really, really appreciate that kind of stuff. And that's all I got for you. I'm rambling, and I'm out of here.